Coming up on this edition of Speed Chronicles, well, now it's a championship fight.
Zig Media presents
Speed Chronicles with Todd Lewis.
Powered by Rev TV.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out this week's edition of Speed Chronicles. We do it on Wednesdays on the Rev TV YouTube channel. Of course, you find it on your favorite podcast platforms as well. Thank you for hitting the like and subscribe button. Please share it around as well. Okay. That was not what I expected. I'm not sure who had that on their bingo card again in Formula One, but going back and looking at this past weekend at Qatar, I don't know. The McLaren team right afterwards, give them credit, they fell on their sword. They said, we screwed up. We made a mistake. We apologized to our drivers who did everything right, who went as fast as they could, had a great weekend, had plenty of speed, had the cars to win race. It was a mistake, not by the drivers, but by the team and the strategy. This race was unique. It had lap restrictions on the tires. So, of course, that impacted the strategy options. Even before going into the race in terms of knowing what you're going to do, you knew you had to make 2 stops. How were you going to let them play out? Every team maps out what they believe to be all of the expected or possible scenarios going into a race. If this happens, what do we do? If this happens on lap 10, what do we do? If this happens on lap 5, what do we do? Lap 35, throughout the race. But I guess they got it wrong here. I guess they got it wrong. It seemed that this will give us the opportunity to get home in one more stop if we make a pit stop during the safety car. That's what 9 of the 10 teams figured out. But apparently McLaren overthought things. Yes, to their recognition of, if you do this, you have played your hand for the rest of the race. You are absolutely right. You have played your hand for the rest of the race. That means you must stop on this lap to make it home in one more stop. That is fair. But you had the best cars this weekend. You had the fastest cars. Not stopping did give you a flexibility advantage, yes, but you had the best cars, and you were out in front. If you stop, as you would expect at least the majority of other teams to do, even if you were behind a couple of cars because they chose another strategy and didn't stop, or even beat you out of pit lane, you had the best cars. You had drivers that were up at front of the field. Piastri led every session. Don't you think you put it in their hands to get the job done? So when I said last week the job of McLaren was to make sure at least one of their drivers won the championship, and ideally they finish 1-2. This is where it impacts them the most, because now Max wins. You don't have drivers running 1-2 in the championship, and you're fighting from behind. That's where the strategy or lack of doing the obviously correct thing is going to impact McLaren. If they had simply gone through, and even if neither driver had won the race, it would have been a lot easier for one of them to win the championship, probably Lando. But now it is a spin the wheel. Who are you picking to win in the final race of the year? Lando won last year. That's good. Max Verstappen won the previous 4 years. Oh, championships too. Yeah. Pretty sure there's going to be a lot of nervous McLaren people not getting a lot of sleep this week and worrying about what's going to happen this week. You made your job so much more difficult. It's the team that has failed the last 2 weeks. Vegas, failure, didn't get the setup right, got disqualified. Qatar, wrong strategy call, cost them, should have been winning the race. Should have been in a much better position to win the championship. Other F1 notes, Yuki Tsunoda is out at Red Bull. This is not a surprise. He has not performed to the level that they need him to perform to get a higher standing in the Constructors' Championship, if anything. Isaac Hajar is going to race alongside Max Verstappen next year. Oh, who was it that Helmut Marko was ridiculing at the opening race when he crashed out on the formation lap? Oh, yeah, that was Isaac Hajar. That's Helmut Marko from Red Bull. Why do we listen to what anything that Helmut Marko says anymore? Clickbait is why. That's why. It's clickbait. What happens to the Ferraris now? I don't think Lewis Hamilton wants to quit. He's under contract for another year. But what can you realistically expect from him and the Ferraris going forward? I don't know. Pat on the back to Carlos Sainz. Hell of a race. It is nice to see the Williams name up near the front of the field again and having success. How much longer can Lance Stroll really stay in the car? These are the questions that are going to start to get asked in another week or two. Yeah, I know the whole ownership thing with Stroll, but he is consistently outperformed by Fernando Alonso, who, yes, is a world champion and an all-time great, but he's in a different zip code, area code, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how much longer you can keep him in that car, especially if Adrian Newey does what they want him to do and increase the performance of that car. I did not think that we would get to this point. However, they have gavelled in the proceedings with the NASCAR lawsuit between 2311 Front Row and NASCAR. It was filed just over a year ago. This has been years in the making with the back and forth negotiation for years to get the charters done. There's been embarrassing information released in recent days. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go, but the court case is going to only continue to fuel the fire of animosity, bitterness, and anger, quite frankly, on both sides. I figured they would have found a way to settle it. They tried. Apparently it got close, but there were still some stumbling blocks that they couldn't overcome. If you didn't believe it before, you must believe it now, because you're going to see it coming out in the court case over the next few days and weeks. It's nasty. It's bitter. It's mean-spirited at times. Teams have dug in believing they're in the right. Can they prove it in court is the hard part, because that's where the burden of proof lies. The teams have to prove that NASCAR was in the wrong, at fault, and violated antitrust laws. A hard thing to prove. Lots of evidence. Going to be fascinating to watch this with the witnesses that come forth and the testimony that takes place, which has already in the first couple of days been very intriguing. But it's nasty. And they have been warned all along, what happens in this case, in the judgment, is going to alter the business going forward. There's a real possibility that NASCAR has to change its structure, its ownership, and the way it does business if the court rules against them. It's a real possibility that 2311, maybe Front Row, will be out of business if it's ruled against them. Now, this court case is just the first one. Expect whoever loses this round to appeal going forward. So this is just the beginning of the end, if you will. A little NASCAR Canada note. Another date on the 2026 schedule has been confirmed for the Autodrome Chaudière. They have announced their schedule at the track for it next summer. NASCAR Canada will be back at the Autodrome Chaudière on June the 6th. Here's another little tidbit. They will be running 2 races that day. Yes, it's a doubleheader. Remember, we had one in 2025 at Delaware Speedway. The Sunset race went away. Sunset couldn't get out of that thing fast enough. They need more ovals. Sunset's not coming back this year for anyone. Doubleheader at the Autodrome Chaudière. Okay, that's good. Now, they ran 250 laps last year at Chaudière. Does that mean they're just going to cut it in half and do twin 125s? I hope not. I hope they're a little longer. I hope at least one is a little bit longer. I don't know how close the schedule is. I've sort of heard not really conflicting things, but not enough information to make me comfortable. There's still some work to be done in terms of making it happen, but we are way late in the process because we're into December now, and I don't blame Chaudière for getting their schedule out because, you know what, the holiday season's coming, and this might be an opportunity to sell some tickets. Makes a great holiday gift, don't you think? Passes to the NASCAR doubleheader that'll take place. I don't know. Hopefully there's more next week. We will have a champion in Formula One. I don't want to predict it. I have no idea what's going to happen. With what's gone on in the last couple of weeks, it seems only fitting that there be another big monkey wrench thrown into it. We'll wait and see, but we'll be back again next Wednesday. We will wrap up the 2025 editions of Speed Chronicles, and we'll take a little break over the holiday season, but we'll be back in January. But yes, one more edition to go next Wednesday. Enjoy the racing. I'm sure there will be drama at the final event.